So hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Welcome back with me, Shazlirna. So today I'm going to talk about something that really related to us. Before we start, I'm going to introduce our four special guests for today. First, we have Professor Dr. Hemala from Department of Food Technology, University Putra Malaysia. Second, we have Professor Dr. Haikal from University of Oxford. Third, we have Miss Kairia from University Putra Malaysia, and also we have Sir Ilham, also from University Putra Malaysia. So today's topic is we are going to talk about food analog. So now we start our discussion on the first topic on sugar substitute. So Dr. Hamala will explain about the sugar substitute. So Doctor, could you please explain to us about the sugar substitute?
So, sugar substitute is basically a food additive that provides a sweet taste like sugar. It is either made from the extracts of plant or through the process of chemical synthesis.
So according to the Malaysian Adult Nutrition Survey on 2003, Malaysian adult consume about 7 teaspoons about sugar per day. So that does sugar consumption have negative impact of the consumer?
Yes, it does. So, sugar is basically a sweet tasting substance. So it is made up of soluble carbohydrates that will break down into glucose when it undergoes digestion in our body. So when it is broken down into glucose, it causes the blood glucose level to spike and plummet. So this can cause diabetes. Another thing that sugar does is it interferes with the immune system. So there has been many researchers that have shown that spikes of sugar can cause the immune system to be compromised. So this causes you to get more sick as the pathogens can easily invade your body.
So when we compare the regular sugar to the sugar substitute are clearly more superior. So can you tell me about the advantage about sugar substitute?
There are a lot of benefits of sugar substitutes. One of it would be that it helps to control the weight of the person who takes it. So artificial sweeteners or sugar substitutes have very less calories and some have even 0 calories. So by taking these sugar substitutes, even the amount of calorie difference is quite obvious. For example, stevia has 0 calories, while xylitol, sugar alcohol, have about 2.4 calories per gram. So this 2.4 calories is basically around 35% to 40% lesser than normal traditional sugar. So it will help us to maintain our body weight. And then sugar substitute will also help us maintain our blood sugar level. As I mentioned earlier, it is better compared to traditional sugar as it is not made of soluble carbohydrates, so it will be beneficial to diabetic patients. And then sugar substitutes will also help us to maintain a healthy oral health, as traditional sugar is quite significant in causing tooth decay, cavities, and other issues with oral health. So by cutting down on traditional sugar and changing up to sugar substitutes, you will be able to handle these issues.
Oh, I see. So last but not least, Doctor, what is the most common sugar substitute that used in our food?
There are many sugar substitutes that are approved by FDA, so it is quite safe to take. So there are advantame, aspartame, stevia, neotame, saccharine, and sucralose also is one of it.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dr. Hemala, for such a great explanation.
Okay, thank you for having me.
So now we are discussing about the second subtopic, which is bulking agent. So in Malaysia, I believe that only a few people aware about bulking agent because this issue is not widely discussed on our community. So without further ado, I'm calling Sir Ilham to explain about the bulking agent on food industry.
Okay, so definition of food bulking agents, they are essentially non-nutritive additives that increase the bulk, which is the volume or weight of a food substance without affecting its taste. Food bulking agents are widely used in low-calorie foods, meal replacements, pastries, and also cereals. The food bulking agents cause significant increase in volume of food while they may not be very significant contribution to energy. Food bulking agents are especially used in foods for weight reduction.
So according to the Sir Ilham explanation just now, is there any example of bulking agent that commonly used in industry?
Examples of food bulking agents include guar gum, psyllium husk, starch. Those are the most commonly used bulking agents. There's some more called carnauba wax, beta, glucan, mannitol, pectin are other examples of food bulking agents.
So it seems like bulking agent is actually commonly used in our food industry. So it must have like advantage and disadvantage of it. So Sir Ilham, can you tell us about the advantage and disadvantage about bulking agents?
Yeah, sure. The advantages of food bulking agents. First of all, the cost of making or buying said bulking agents are relatively inexpensive. So they're very cheap and they have been studied to function well at jobs. A good bulking agent does more than just take up space. Some of the bulking agents such as fiber, oats and soy also have potential health benefits that are good for the human body. Most of them are sweet and low in calorie. So moving on to the disadvantages, such as other food additives, bulking agents may also cause digestive disorders, skin problems, and also respiratory problems. They may cause these problems. People with allergies may not be able to eat food with bulking agents.
So thank you Sir Ilham for the informative sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Darling shampoo makes hair soft and shiny. No more tears for my little bright eyes. Darling shampoo smells like a pure baby. Darling shampoo makes me feel good and happy.
Darling Baby Care. Safe from the first day, fun forever.
Hi, welcome back. So now we are going to continue our discussion today on the topic food analog. So we are going to continue. Now I'm calling Miss Kyria to explain to us about dairy analog. So as we know, dairy analog is very famous among the community, especially to the coffee lovers. So now I'm going to call Miss Kyria to tell us about the milk analog.
So, dairy analog is a dairy product that made up from soy, grain, nuts, coconut, and seed to replace the dairy product that came from animals such as cow and goat. It is one of the alternatives to stop animal abuse that happen nowadays for human greed to gain more profit from this animal. It has a lot of benefit. First, it is beneficial for people that have lactose intolerant because it was extracted from plant. Cow milk and goat milk contain lactose in it. So by replacing this milk with plant-based milk, it will be great for people that cannot take lactose in their body. The second benefit is it can help in weight loss. It is because this dairy product is rich in protein and can help promote a balanced diet. The third one is it can help us to have a better health. Dairy analog are rich in vitamin and minerals such as vitamin E, D, B, calcium, zinc, and others. Some of these vitamin and mineral act as antioxidant and can help to boost the bone health, improve metabolism and circulation, and nerve function. It also can promote a better cardiovascular health as it packed with essential fat and fatty acid, and so it can reduce the risk of heart disease and lowering the cholesterol in the body.
So now we see that dairy analog is very beneficial to the consumer. So I'm wondering, is there any bad effect on dairy analog to the consumer?
Even though they have a lot of benefit, they also have their own bad effect. One of the bad effect is it can lead to weight gain. If it was taken regularly, it is because some of them contain high in calorie and some of them contain high in carbohydrate. And other than that, some brand of this dairy analog has added sugar in their product, which is not healthy addition, and it is not suitable for people with diabetes because they can take sugar well. Furthermore, this dairy analog also is not suitable for children who are growing up because this dairy analog, some of them are lack of protein, calcium, and certain vitamin and mineral. As we know, these dairy analog are made up from plants. So some plants is a common allergen that can cause allergy. As an example, people that have allergy towards soybean cannot take dairy analog that are soybean based because it can cause mild stomach, bloating, vomiting, and headache.
So we see that the dairy analog is very beneficial to us. So we're moving to the last part, which is, so Miss Kaya, can you tell us about the example about dairy
The
analog?
example of this dairy analog is soy milk, almond milk, rice milk, and coconut milk. These milk are made up was extracted from plant. Other than that, we have also have tofu and tempeh. This tofu and tempeh was made up from the soybeans. I think that's all from me.
Thank you, Miss Kyra, for the such great explanation. So now we already at the last part of our discussion today on meat analog. So meat is actually really important for us because it is the main protein source for our body. But there is some people who cannot eat certain type of meat because of many other reasons such as allergy. So that's why the idea of meat analog are made. So now I'm calling Professor Dr. Haikal to tell us about
Alright,
meat
thank you.
analog.
So first, what is meat analog? So meat analog, also known as the synonyms are like meat substitute, we have meat forks or imitation of meat. So the meat analog itself is a food product which mimics or copies the sensory properties of meat. So for example, we have the aesthetic qualities. So primarily is the texture. We want to mimic the texture, the flavor, or the appearance. Second of all, we want to mimic the chemical properties, characteristics or properties. So of a specific type of meat which we want to mimic lah. So for example, we have beef for example. So we want to try to mimic beef. So we try to take some certain parts of chemical properties of beef, which we can turn into a new substitute product, for example. And then we also have two groups in meat analog whereby we have 100% of non-meat, and there is some percentage of meat. So if we say 100% of non-meat, the substitute materials which can be consumable by vegetarians. However, if there is some percentage of meat, for example, we have surimi, which is a fish-based product. It is not suitable for the consumption of vegetarians.
Oh, I see. Is there any category of meat analog?
Yes, they do have. They actually have three. First one, we have vegetarian, meat, dairy, and egg analog. Second, we have lab-grown animal tissue. And last but not least, surimi and similar meat-based meat analog.
So is there any examples of meat analog?
Yes, they do. So for meat analog, right? So if traditional ways, the older recipes, we consider using things like mushroom, tempeh. But if modern, since we are now currently living in 2021, so we obviously have ventured out for this meat analog. So we have this thing called textured vegetable protein, TVP. It is composed of bundles of short fibers or extruded soya proteins, whereby it actually has a beany taste. So therefore it needs to be flavored. So we have to put salt, spices, and then we can turn it to something like burger or sausages.
So before this, I already read about lab-grown animal tissue. So can you explain to me how the process of it?
Alright, so for lab-grown animal tissue, it's actually a research done by a Dutch scientist, where they have proposed to use existing agricultural infrastructure to produce lab meat. This is what we call lab meat because it is grown from a lab. So the process is actually simple. So the scientists will collect the stem cells of an animal, and then the cells are placed in a petri dish, which then will be added with serum, and then the stem cells are grown to become muscle fibers in a bioreactor, and there will be further processing and mixed with other ingredients to form minced beef, which will then we can form many things such as burgers and etc.
Last but not least, I believe that a food such as food analog have many advantages and disadvantages. So for meat analog, is there any advantages and disadvantages?
Obviously, they do. So for advantages, we have meat analog itself is a very good source of proteins and fat because we are actually controlling what we put in our food. So for example, if we put tofu or we put tempeh, those types of substitutes we put in has many benefits towards the person who consume. And second of all, it is much more cheaper than when we buy normal meat at the shop. And obviously, every good thing has its pros and cons. So for its disadvantages, we have that research shows that meat analog is actually lacking the vitamin B12. Second of all, this meat analog, it has low in energy.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Haikal, for the sharing thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
So that's all for our discussion today, and I hope you guys got some good info about food analog. So meet you guys at the next video. Bye.